Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pretty fantastic crowd this early in the morning. We very much appreciate it, especially those of you that I paid to be here. We really appreciate it. Okay, so today I think we have a delightful panel for you. 3 people who I thoroughly enjoy and who I think are absolutely fantastic. So first and foremost, let me tell you who's talking to you right now. I am Christi Geary. It's very nice to meet all of you. I lead AMP agency, which just personal plug at the moment and professional plug. We are launching this week as we start to think about full volume impact. So let's hear it for that, everybody. Okay, I'm done with that now. We're going to talk about the people who matter. So if you guys don't mind, can we do a quick introduction for each of you, and then we'll get started with some questions.
Sure, I'll go first.
Go ahead, Jess.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Jessica Grasso. I work at Bayer Consumer Health, and I'm the Omni Shopper Lead, overseeing the BCH portfolio, which encompasses 14 plus brands, some of which you might know, One A Day, Claritin, and Aleve. So really excited to be here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Cook. I work at YPulse. I lead the custom insights team. Those of you who may or may not know YPulse, we are the leading authority on youth research, youth insights. We have, gosh, what is it? 15 billion with the B data points. We interview over 400,000 young people between the ages of 13 and 39 every year across 7 countries. And every day we write articles, every week we publish reports. So we are very, very busy covering literally every aspect of youth and youth culture. And prior to being at YPulse, I was a client. So yeah.
It better.
Yeah.
Marijan.
Hi everyone, Marijan Mate. I lead the e-commerce and omnichannel shopper experience programming at Ferrero, which is a confections company, Italian owned, and it's actually the 3rd largest confections company in the world. We're kind of just starting, I would say, in US, but you probably know some of our legacy brands, Ferrero Rocher, Nutella, Kinder, Tic Tac, and recently in US we acquired other, I would say, iconic brands, Butterfinger, Crunch, Baby Ruth, and Keebler from the cookies category.
Which is, just to be totally clear, we've covered the stage on purpose. So we are covering chocolate and everything that will taste delicious. Shannon will make sure that we have all the generations paying attention, and Jess will make sure we have healthcare to take care of us when we all overindulge.
So eat all the chocolate.
For purposes of today, I think most of you probably read the blurb about what we're talking about, but just to level set for a second, we have entered a new era, if you will. Everything is shoppable. It's no longer negotiable. It's no longer a question of should I pay attention here or there. You should pay attention everywhere, and you should do it all the time, all at once. One of my very good friends over here likes to constantly quote the movie, and he's not wrong. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. And that's becoming a bit overwhelming as we start to think about how do you navigate that? How do you make sure that you are building your brands all the way from what used to be an upper funnel all the way down to the lower? And again, for those of you who know me, not a big fan of funnels, fairly sure they've been obliterated completely. I like better that we're doing a bit of a dance and trying to figure out where we dial up and where we dial down. So with that in mind, Jess, I'm gonna start with you. And in that capacity, you have worked on many major omnichannel initiatives, some of which we've done together in our previous lives. So how do you translate those brand initiatives into what needs to be true from a conversion moment standpoint?
So, you said it earlier, Christi, this planning an omnichannel event is multifaceted, it's complex. But one of the ways that we were effectively able to do this was through a recent launch of a January health campaign. And we know that there's financial strain on families today. They're having to make tough choices, and looking for affordable health solutions at the ready is critical now more than ever. And Bayer wants to be the first choice. And so through that, we were able to deliver the biggest tentpole event that we've ever had in the history of the organization in partnership with AMP. And we really didn't miss a beat on being able to pull different retail levers from an omnichannel perspective. It took a lot of cross collaboration and partnership with mass brand presence across the total portfolio. We had geo-targeting in and out of the store. We had merchandising. We had retail media. We had social influencer. It really was truly an integrated omni approach. And our key KPIs at Bayer are driving household penetration and conversion. And sometimes we think of a funnel as the traditional funnel, but it's collapsed, and now we're really leveraging traditional media as a way to drive eyeballs to deliver higher impact on conversion.
I totally agree, having lived it with you. I think the other thing that you said that's so important is this idea of cross-functional collaboration, whether it's internal or external, and that's really going to be a major theme, I think, of everything that you bring up today, which is this idea of partnership and the importance. So let's switch a little bit to chocolate and emotional equity that goes with that. And in that space, one of the things we like to say that we as an agency are really striving for is this idea of unifying brand love with buyer behavior. How are you doing that? How are you translating that into an effective go-to-market strategy in your space?
Yeah, so obviously we have within our portfolio quite a bit of iconic brands. And we have the European brands, and we have the ones that we recently acquired in US, and one of them, for example, is Keebler, as I mentioned earlier. It's a cookie, so it's still with chocolate, but other things as well. We recognized that the brand needed some, let's say, bringing back to the present type of activity, and it's recognized in the marketplace, but it doesn't really, that nostalgia doesn't really translate into sales, or it hadn't. So what we worked with you all was how to think about really bringing that engagement back between our consumers, our brand, and translating into sales. So one of the insights that we started with was that parents today really want to develop an engagement with their kids, right? So when they buy a cookie, they want to have that special moment and that everyday special moment. So part of a 360 campaign, of course, with all the different elements of national TV and retail media and activation in store, what we layered on was a consumer engagement platform for Keebler, and it's called Open for Magic. And it's really trying to bring the new parents with their kids into this kind of magical world of Keebler. So as shoppers would buy the cookie, they would be able to scan the pack or the actual cookie, and spend time with their kids, finding new experience within the app. And we've done it with a number of our LTOs in the market. One of them, Butterbeer for Stripes, which was a collaboration with Harry Potter, and the engagement was trivia for the fans, and also getting some unique prizes. And it worked really well because beyond just obviously getting an incentive and helping with the economic situation of the time, it really drives that, I would say, brand consideration with the new parents in this generation, and was able to build that unique moment in an everyday, scenario where I know I'm a new mom, so a cookie is always something that I use on a everyday basis to get my kids to eat or what have you. But building that loyalty and consideration with the new consumers was imperative for us. To bring, the brand that really had that heritage, but in the today times, and continue to, drive that, loyalty all the way down to purchase. And, we had really good success in, obviously, in sales and market share that we look at.
Well, and you're creating cultural moments, right? You're finding those moments
Exactly.
that matter. You're making sure that you're capitalizing on those. Those are our favorite things to do. And you mentioned it at the very beginning, which is taking that insight and pulling it all the way through, which is our favorite thing to do. So speaking of the younger crowd, I'm going to turn to Shannon.
Sure.
And YPulse is all about that younger audience and how we start to think about the cultural trends, how the brands show up, what are the expectations, particularly about Gen Z, which another topic that our group is very excited about as well. So are you noticing similarities or differences in the shopping behavior as we start to think at some of the different generations, so Gen Z versus boomers or other things? How's that starting to manifest with all these shoppable touch points now?
Thinking about Gen Z in particular, I think there are a couple of things, because first of all, they're definitely leading like a new sort of like just approach to the entire endeavor. And I think a couple of things that I think about is like, I know we talk about authenticity all the time, and I'm sorry to be the first one to say the A word, but there it is, authenticity.
It's a good word.
It's a good word, and it is, that imperative is, increasing. Just when you thought it couldn't increase anymore, it is. Our data shows that 82% of Gen Z think that it's really important, or it's important for a brand to be true to themselves, and we'll talk about that in a second, but like 40% of them say it's very important to be true to yourself, for a brand to be true to themselves. And what does that mean? It means really exploring and understanding who you as a brand are. You were saying everything everywhere all at once, but you can't be everything to everyone all at once.
You cannot.
Everyone can't be Duolingo. They can't all be doing what Duolingo is doing. So who are you? What matters to you? How do you take that and relate it to your consumers, your young people especially? I think that another thing that we're seeing that relates to this and sort of builds on this is Gen Z really, after coming out of the pandemic as they have. I know I already said the P word, I said the A word, and now I'm saying the P word. Let's just get them all out there.
In the center.
Exactly. Coming out of this, they need and they value opportunity to have experiences. It is extremely important to them, and so they're looking for brands who are going to do that. Whether that's at home with a QR code, or whether that's building pop-ups or having all of these things. Every brand can create an experience for Gen Z and for families, and I think it's a really something that they are looking for. They're looking for brands to create those third spaces, whether it's pop-ups, whether it's lounges, whether it's anything, so that they can share their fandom. Taylor Swift did a really great job this weekend of creating that third space to share, their fandom. Again, you don't have to be Taylor Swift to do it. I think Sol de Janeiro is actually a really interesting, very, very strong Gen Z brand that does a really good job of this, creating experiences either on social media or, with pop-ups. They do a lot of things around Carnival, bringing Carnival and that spirit and love and Brazilian beach culture to New York during Carnival, or in Berlin. They do a really, really great job of that, and and they are rewarded by Gen Z for all of the things that Sol de Janeiro is a really great brand to consider doing a little Gen Z analysis on.
I have 2 teenage girls, so everything that you just threw out there is my life at the moment.
I know what your house smells like.
It really does, all the time, although good products. And I would say Taylor Swift, love her or hate her, she is the ultimate marketer, and you've got to give her props in that capacity, because she not only knows how to create those cultural relevance moments, but she is also spanning generations.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I want to talk about, because I know there's this fantastic example of where we're starting to go with this in Bayer. And this is this idea of how do you move from just transactional marketing, and how do you change it into a more experiential marketing, but do it in a way that is authentic relative to the generations that you're speaking to?
Yeah, love this question. So we are working on a great program right now in the crux of executing a robust women's health campaign for the drug channel at Walgreens and CVS called Own Your Era. and it taps into everything that you said, right? So women's health is, oftentimes looked at, especially in OTC, generalized, lacks authenticity. It is a one-size-fits-all, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. And so we really leaned into the opportunity to drive awareness and build trust across the breadth of our portfolio through tailored bundled solutions that are meeting women during different life stages at that moment in time. So, if you're in, perimenopausal, right, or if you're a new mom, like we have solutions for you. And the key is to really create these meaningful, relevant offerings through messaging, storytelling, and promotions, and meeting them where they are, which is really important. So, moving away from a one-size-fits-all, being really intentional about where you're meeting them, how, and what you're saying is really important. So we're delivering on, how to get those impulse trips, disrupting in the aisle, which, at drug is very overwhelming, and there's yellow tags and all of this chaos as you're shopping. So making it easy for her to prioritize herself, because, women tend to deprioritize for their families and other things that are going on in their lives. So we're excited about this program. So if you're out in the market, take a look.
I do appreciate, though, that when we said the other P word of perimenopause, you looked right at me. I mean, let's be clear. So we are decoding behavior, and that's where I want to go next, which is this idea of making sure you're truly tapping into behavioral science and really understanding the economic factors that work within a market. It's something that we do a lot of at AMP Agency. We use a proprietary approach called nudgeonomics. Very happy to talk about that for any amount of time after the lovely group that we have here. But for purposes of decoding behavior, thinking through all of these different pieces that we're trying to do, how are each of you using behavioral science, consumer insights, and Marie-Jeanne, you already went here a little bit, but I'm sure you have another area of how are you doing this across media buying and all the other pieces that need to happen?
Well, I think it's all about understanding your shopper, your consumer, and then being true to the brand and building programs or partnerships that speak to that audience. So for us, an example of I would say cross generation where we kind of think about what insights we need to pull to build the brand is Kinder. And for those of you that don't know, Kinder is actually the #1 chocolate brand globally. And it's quite interesting because in US is fairly new. But the reason is that Kinder as a master brand has multiple layers to it. It has, Kinder Joy, or in Europe it's Kinder Surprise. That's really just for, your child, like very little, I would say 3 to 5. My kids love the eggs. But, understanding what makes that, child interested and what excites them and building that loyalty and consideration over and over again. So we have partnerships with Disney and with Harry Potter, and we continue to bring something new in the offering. Then we move on to Kinder Chocolate, which is more for bigger children for sharing and building those moments with the families and really it's similar to Kibler, having those unique family moments on every day. So we build partnerships with, for example, Elf on the Shelf coming in the holiday season, and then along the journey you have Kinder Bueno that is more for the adults and for us to share and enjoy a more sophisticated experience. So understanding where are those adults shopping, what are their interests, and building some of those programs is important. To be authentic and reach the different targets with the right messaging, with the right media buys, with the right execution in store or online, obviously through retail media. But then, kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, how can I really build all of that together?
Yes.
Because if we think of the European market, for example, the reason why it's so successful and the overall brand is so big is because the kids that had the Kinder Joy now are adults and they have their own kids and they lived through this evolution and now they are enjoying the Kinder Bueno, but also it's like, it's they know they're going to have Kinder Chocolate and Kinder Joy in their households for their kids. I mean, it's a given. So that for us is very important, not only to have individual brand execution and connections with the individual, let's say, consumers of the brand, but also to build that journey over and cross generations. So then, you continue to build the loyalty over and over again.
So this is one of my favorite things, and I think sometimes people get caught in the loop of short-term ROI or whatever version of metric is popular at any given moment. I think the importance is you're not only trying to build for just that moment. Daily shipment numbers matter, but you have to think about building that relationship over time. By the way, you totally took my brain in another direction with the elf on the shelf. I'm so glad we're past that. For those of you who are new parents, I'm just going to tell you, think hard before you start. It goes on a whole thing. It goes for a very long time. So with that in mind, actually, you teed it up beautifully, and I'm going to come back to Shannon in this place, and then I'd love everyone to just give me a quick one on this particular place. So this is what we were just talking about, this idea of going to full volume impact. This is what we try to do as an agency. We're trying to figure out not only how much do you dial up and dial down in those moments that matter, but how do you make sure you're truly getting that emotional resonance and you're getting measurable results, because ultimately we all have shareholders and we have to make sure we deliver. So in that space, recent campaign in a quick snippet that hit full volume impact for you.
I would say literally anything that Duolingo has done recently. I know I mentioned them at the beginning. I think that they've done a really phenomenal job. So yeah,
Awesome.
Just a fast one.
Jess?
I'm gonna say our Bayer January health campaign, full impact.
I'm going to go with it too. It was delightful.
So
It was amazing. It was amazing. And would you go with the one you already gave as an example in that particular space?
Yeah, I mean, both of them, I would say, the Keebler one was amazing results.
Yeah, it was great.
And, we can go on and on. With that.
Okay, so let's shift just slightly here. And obviously one of the things, and we have all been in this arena for quite some time. So what advice would you give other marketers that are really struggling right now to try to figure out how they reconcile this whole idea of brand and commerce and do it in a way with very limited budgets? What advice would you give them? Jess first.
I would say stop working in silos, number one, and embrace
Amen, sister.
collaboration. We've got brand marketers, we've got shopper marketers, we've got commercial strategy. I feel everyone has their own expertise that they can bring to the table, and that's part of the secret sauce and how we work at Bayer and how we have been able to drive these effective programs is collapsing the walls and really working together and identifying what are our common goals across whether it's the customer or brand, and then finding the synergies nationally and then down to retail and partnering on developing the plan together. There we find efficiencies in resources, which is always good because we're able to do more with less. And then we are getting that impact because we are partnering on the same goal. So it's not like somebody's off doing something over here and the retail team is doing something over there. We're really truly working together. And I think that when we are pulling in all of the resources, doing that like double time, I mean, we're hitting double-digit results in every program we do.
Music to my ears, as you know. We've talked this for years, and when it finally works, it really works.
Yeah.
All right, what else?
So you said break down silos. I think that's brilliant. I'm going to say listen, truly listen to especially young people. Like, they are telling you what they want. They're telling you what they need. It's all over social media. And be prepared to, see if you have a place and see where you can participate in that. One thing that I'm thinking about right now, again, with YPulse, we cover all the trends, what's happening right now. And right now, Gen Z and young people, across, Gen Alpha even and slightly older are getting locked in between now and the end of the year. It's a big conversation that's happening, right now, which normally, at this time of the year, you start to take it a little easy. It's the holidays. You kind of you enjoy a whole lot of Kinder, and you might need some bear afterwards. Yes, But what we're seeing right now is, they're getting locked in. What they're doing is they're dialing in on a specific goal, whatever that goal might be, and with the idea that they're going to reach that goal by January 1st, not set the resolution to start on January 1st. They want to, and this is a big pivot. This is something that we haven't, typically seen in, the last, several fourth quarters. And so they're telling you that. They're giving you information. So is your January 1st resolution campaign going to land this year, or do you need to adjust it? And how can you adjust it? It is October. And so what can you do right now to participate in that? And I would go back to, again, what you're saying with, the behavioral science. Understand the why, and there is a reason that they're wanting to do that. And so there's a lot of motivation, specifically with Gen Z. They are a generation that's used to collecting accomplishments. And so that is a big part of it. But they're also a generation that's been doing a whole lot of bed rotting and doom scrolling. And so those two tensions are at play. I want to doom scroll, I want to bed rot, but I also was raised to collect accomplishments. And so this getting locked in between now and the end of the year is something I think people should be paying attention to and see how you can participate.
You just described 5 conversations we had this weekend. So breaking down silos, listening, what do you suggest?
Totally agree with all of this, and we've been on a journey similar, and it's really, results are really good. What I would add probably is, starting with the insights, setting the strategic objectives, if you will, that crosses all functions, which I think is very important. But then really think about how do you get closer to your retail partners, and really try to collaborate externally as well, and have programs that really are impactful and connect back with their agenda. That's where we've seen, the biggest opportunity and unlock for us, where, it's not just our brands, trying to do this at the top, or it's not just us trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. It's really talking to our retail partners, understand, what insights they might be able to share, how we can, lean in with their initiatives and really have 1 + 1 = 3, and that is where I feel the opportunity and the biggest unlock is.
So ultimately, listen and talk to each other across the board and figure out how to work with each other.
Easy.
Secret sauce.
Easy, so simple. I love the idea. All right, we are in the rapid fire round, my friends. So rather than a path to purchase, I like to think of it as an experiential tango to relationship building, because that's, I think, where we are landing. So with that in mind, and I realize everyone will think AI, but give me something specific in that arena if that's where you go. What's one major shift that will absolutely impact what we need to be doing over the next 5-10 years relative to this experiential tango? And it's a rapid fire round, so 1 to 2 words.
So within the AI space, thinking about how people are going to be using that to make purchase decisions.
Agreed?
+1.
Done?
Yeah, how you adjust your content, I think that is for me, and it crosses across all different areas. How do you show up in the space when AI is really gonna do it all?
Well said. And then I will give my personal plug that I think part of what we all need to be doing in this space is remembering that delicate balance that comes between humanity and technology. It's figuring out how do we leverage that to be as efficient and effective as possible, but remember that the predictably irrational, fabulous part about humanity is coming up with ideas and reacting in ways that we wouldn't have always predicted. And that's where we get to play and partner with you to do magic, maybe Keebler magic every now and then. So I just want to tell everyone, and particularly my friends on stage here with me, an enormous thank you. You were all absolutely fantastic. Everyone in the audience, we so appreciate you being such an engaged audience, and more importantly, we would love to have additional conversations with you. Don't hesitate to come talk with us, either here, online, or whatever makes sense. And remember, everything's shoppable, and we are here to help you drive full volume impact. So thank you.